Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Taneytown Athletic Association meeting for January the 13th, 2021. Appreciate you all coming out or taking the time to meet us. These meetings are very important. It's something to get used to. I'm about 8 months into the virtual meeting, and I like them. They go much quicker. People get a little gun shy when they're on camera. So in any case, you're probably going to be seen by tens and dozens of people as this meeting goes on. And thanks again for coming. So Lorena, are you able to hear me? Okay, thumbs up. Okay, you have anything you want to say before we start with the committee reports?
No, I'm good. All set.
Okay, then who would like to go first? Please make sure you hit unmute your mic. Okay.
If you don't mind, football can go first. We don't have much to report, so it'll be quick and easy. I'm John Franks with FSK Junior Eagles football president. Again, don't really have much to report. We shut our season down, in like June or July of last year. And because of the current situation, we haven't really done much. We had no season. Now that we're into the new year, we are looking into fundraising and things of that nature to try to help with the alleviate of the amount of money that we lost trying to start up last season. We did turn in a request for the budget. We turned that into Lorena. Other than that, we will open registration again. April 1st is when we open our registration. And, hopefully, the current, coronavirus situation did not impact our registrations, very badly. So we would anticipate, probably a neighborhood of about 90 registrations. Other than that, we really don't have much.
Okay, John. Thanks for all you do, and appreciate it very much. And we will meet once more before your season sign up starts. So thanks so much.
Sure, thank you.
Rebecca, would you like to go next?
Is that me?
Yes.
Sorry for the kids' background noise and the dog. So West Carroll Field Hockey was able to have a season this year, this fall. We had lower numbers. We had to modify some things. We had 5 or 6 girls for the K-2 clinic. And then we had to combine our 3rd and 4th grade and 5th and 6th grade teams. So we had enough to have field 1 team that played against the 5th and 6th grade teams, and other programs had to do that too. And the girls were still pretty competitive, so it was good. And then we had enough for a 7th and 8th grade team. They modified it. They didn't have an end of the season tournament like they normally do. So we got an 8th game in instead of 7 plus the tournament. We had to cancel 1 game due to a possible COVID exposure. And then the last game got rained out. But it was really positive. The parents were happy the kids were playing. The girls were excited to play. We used the field at Bark Hill, which we're hoping to be able to use again. So we don't have any conflicts with baseball or anything like that. Because there's a lot more space over at Bark Hill and no conflicts, which is a bonus. We're hoping to do maybe some spring clinics. And we've talked about fundraising because we do need to get some more goals. But other than that, it was a great fall for us, despite the circumstances.
I'm so glad to hear. So that field is lighted, correct?
No, it's not. So we had to modify our practice times. I mean, we were starting at like 5:15 because we had to end, in the fall towards the end by 7:15 and, but we made it work given the situation, and the parents were very accommodating and very understanding. So it was great.
Well, good. Thank you, Rebecca.
Yep.
Who's next?
I'll go.
Hold on.
One of these guys.
What am I gonna turn on? The camera, I'll do that.
Can you hear me now? All right, so we had a modified fall season for baseball. I'm Ricky Krebs. I'm the president of Taneytown Lions Baseball. We had 5 T-ball teams, one 8U team, one 10U team, 2 12U teams, and 1 team at Babe Ruth. And they got a good season. We had a couple COVID scares where one of the parents showed up after testing positive, never really got within 6 feet of anybody. So we shut down, made sure everything was clear, and then went back to playing like 3 or 4 days later. And that happened twice with no immediate actual exposures to COVID on the baseball level. So we currently have registrations open. We have about 35 kids registered so far, but this is normal. We expect to have approximately 200 to 250 kids registered this spring. New to this year, we're going to play baseball in Adams County at all age level except for T-ball. We're going to remain keeping that in-house with Taneytown and Union Bridge. And also, we're currently working on a merger between our league and the West Carroll Baseball League. They were having some things going on, and they want to join our league. So we're working in that process as well, which will potentially bring 2 more 8U teams and possibly 4 more T-ball teams. So that's going to bump our numbers up drastically. We also are in the process of talking to potentially join the rec council over in West Carroll, joining with a probationary status to see where that goes and figure out if it's going to be right for us or not. We have a few projects still left over because of COVID from our grants from the previous years. We got the warning track still to do and the clay for the pitcher's mounds and batter's boxes and stuff like that. So hopefully the weather clears up in May or March and we can get that knocked out. We're currently offering baseball clinics at the Carroll Indoor Sports Facility. Dates and times are posted on our Facebook. We're also working on scheduling CPR and first aid training for new coaches and new board members, and also recertifications of our current certified board members and coaches as well. We look forward to another successful baseball season, and we'd like to thank the TAA and the city for your continued support. Thanks.
Thanks, Rick. Appreciate it. So who do we have left here? Rebels Extreme.
Hi, this is Stephanie, and I'm currently at cheer practice. So, hold on a second. I'll try to find us a quiet space. We are currently practicing. We are currently getting ready for our first competition in February. We're not sure that it'll be in person or virtual at this point, but we are still preparing. So, we still have 3 teams totaling about 40 girls, 27 families. That's about it for right now. We're working on some fundraisers. We have some eat out nights scheduled. Nothing really extravagant, as nothing in person is really working right now. So That's about it.
Totally hear you. Well, thanks very much. So, who's left?
Daryl, I think that's it. Bill Rose said that he wasn't going to be able to make it this evening. He had another meeting conflict, so he had already submitted his information to me as far as the maintenance and budget requests. But going by the attendee list here, I think that's everyone.
Okay, well, listen, as a volunteer as well, I want to thank you all for all the countless hours you all put in to make our recreational sports in our city very, very successful. It's I know it's a lot of hard work, and again, we appreciate it. So we'll see you in 2 months. Well, actually, we're not done yet. So I notice there's nothing under old or new business. Is that correct, Marina?
That's correct, right? We just have the well, actually, under new business, we have the maintenance funding and assistance requests for the upcoming fiscal year, which I've received footballs, Rebels, West Carroll cheer. I've received soccer's. And Ricky and Mark, I just want to clarify what you sent me today, the supplies for the water line. Is that part of your request? Did you have anything else?
Yeah, and I'm getting out again. Go ahead.
Yeah, I think I had a couple other things. I'm busy like everybody else.
Right.
But yeah, that was the main one we were talking about. And then I still have that outstanding project too with the dugouts with the paint and stuff that we talked about. So I'll be looking to get that done as well.
Okay.
And then there's other things that are like long-term goals that I can always get to you.
I thought you sent them.
Okay.
So you're sending them over first thing in the morning.
I'll send them to you.
Okay. Sounds good. Just to let everybody know, the budget process has started, and our worksheets, our requests are going to be due at the end of the month. So I need to take everything into consideration to see what we can do this upcoming fiscal year and account for those expenditures. The good news is that some of it we can apply for grant funding. John, for your football requests for the 2 HVAC units, put that into a grant application, and hopefully we'll hear back next month whether that was approved. I also wrapped into that the bigger part of that grant application, and it's not something you requested, but it's something that's on our long-term capital budget, capital improvement plan, is retrofitting the lighting, the stadium lighting there to LED, and also baseball at Field 1, all of that lighting, retrofitting that to LED. So we'll see. Like I said, the HVAC was a smaller portion of that grant application. I would imagine that would be approved. From what I've heard through the organization's grapevine, they're looking at our grant application favorably. So that's good. That's exciting. And then soccer's request of fencing for their pitch number 3. I think we're going to go through Carroll County for the self-help grant, and we'll submit that next month so we can get that considered. Hopefully that will cover the majority of that. I don't know if anyone recalls, I think it was a couple of months ago, we had a young person drive onto pitch 3 there at Roberts Mill. I think did a couple of donuts and then took off. Luckily, we were able to track that person down, and so there's a police report filed. So we do have some backup to make the case for that grant to get that fence installed. I think that would go a long way to keeping our young players secure. And then Stephanie, I'm not sure with rent. I talked with our treasurer, and there may be some difficulty with that just because it's not really putting in anything back into the park. It's not technically a park maintenance or improvement. So as being a non-tangible, don't think that the auditors would like that very much. So I'm still checking into that. We'll see. But I'm hoping that the senior center will be able to accommodate some space for you. So we'll go with that. And you and I can continue our discussions on that later on. And then Ricky and Mark, whatever else you guys can get to me as soon as you can, so that way I can figure that into what we need to put in for the budget. And that's all I have.
Okay, are we going to count that as new business, Lorena, as well?
Yes, that was under new business. Sorry.
Okay. Does anyone have anything they'd like to say before we conclude our meeting? Beth, are you still with us? Just make sure you're getting the minutes.
I'm still with you.
Awesome. Emmanuel, Bill, any comments?
Yeah, I just wanted to comment once again and kind of echo your sentiments. With such a tough year in 2020, sports are always a big part of, the experience that our youth get here in, Taneytown. And just thank you to all of you once again that have, given such your time and your effort and your energy to do your best to still provide them those experiences, especially in this difficult setting. So just once again, thank you very much.
Very well. So that concludes this meeting. Our next meeting will be in 2 months. I know it'd be March. I'm not sure what date. Lorena, do you have that date?
Yeah, it's March 10th. And I just wanted to also echo your comments and Emmanuel's and thank everyone for all of their effort and the immeasurable time that they put into volunteering to help the youth in our community. It's more important now, perhaps, than any other time for our kids to get out and be a part of something that reconnects them, as opposed to just sitting on the couch or trapped in their house. So thank you again for everything.
Okay, just one more item. Is there a hotline or anything that people can call into this, have been able to call into this meeting? I want to make sure there's nobody waiting online.
I do not think that we set that up. Normally, we don't have public comment on these. No, Dan says no, sir. Nope. So there's no open line for that.
Okay, again, everybody have a great night. We're close to the weekend, so take care, be careful, be safe, and thank you very much. Okay, y'all. So we're ready to start the next meeting.
I'm good to go.
Okay, welcome to the January 13th meeting of 2021 of the Taneytown Parks and Recreation Advisory Board. In attendance are Lorena, of course, myself, Daryl, board members Beth Cheney, Bill Kennedy, and Emmanuel Harvey. So having said that, we have two members of the board that were not able to make it tonight. So the roll call is finished. Let's start with the approval of last month's meeting. Any comment on the meeting, the minutes as proposed?
I'll move to approve the meeting minutes from our previous meeting in December.
And do I have a second?
I will second that motion.
Okay, the minutes have been approved for, have been nominated, it's been decided to approve minutes as written. May I have a thumbs up for yes?
Yes.
So moved, they carry. We have no delegation tonight. Unfinished business from last month. Lorena, you want to take it over from here?
Sure, thank you. All right, the update on Roberts Mill Park, the resurfacing, repairing the walking trail, and the basketball court. I met with our contractor Hobbs Excavating just to get a ballpark idea of what he thought it might cost to tackle that. And once I gave him the figure of what we had put in our capital budget for the repair and improvements, thinking that perhaps there might be some left over to accommodate the cost of the ready block, he indicated that what we have isn't even going to be enough to cover the asphalt work. So we are going to have to do a budget amendment for that. I believe Jim and Barry are working on that. And as soon as I get Steve Hobbs' quote on the asphalt work, then we can kind of fill in the blanks there and then communicate that information to CDM Smith so that we know what we're going to do going forward. I have not heard from them as far as an estimate on the ready block. That's going to be a crucial factor as well as to what we can do there. Once we have the budget amendment done and all of the, whatever engineering needs to be completed to put the RFP together, I believe it's finished. The RFP just needs a little bit of tweaking. And we can release that and get that awarded and start work after the May 15th fishing derby. And it shouldn't take too terribly long, provided that obviously in the spring, the weather will be a lot better and more conducive for that kind of work. So I'm looking forward to having that project completed, and I'm sure the community is as well. Do you want me to just continue on?
Any comments from the board?
I'm sorry, Lorena, I missed that that date of the fishing derby that you were referenced.
May 15th, Saturday, May 15th.
Okay, Lorena, go ahead.
All right, next item is update on Ballinger Park, the engineering. Our engineer, CDM Smith, started on the electrical engineering, obtaining some more information. Parlayed to them the light poles that were closest to the entrance, the numbers of the poles, so that way they can get that information to tie into that source. We're waiting on the revised concept plan based on all of the input that the board gave CDM Smith last month. And once they get all of that situated, then I believe they're getting ready to submit it to the Planning Commission. They're meeting next month, and we'll go forward from there. In the meantime, I've been applying for grants. The discussion that we referenced at last month's meeting that Jim and I had with the mayor discussing the more realistic estimate of the cost of the development of the park and how to proceed going forward. At this point, we are going to apply for the grant funding for the proposed trail as delineated in our discussions, the preferred rubberized trail. It does have a higher price tag than mulch, obviously, but that's really the direction that we want to go in. And provided we can obtain the grant funding, we'll be able to proceed with the development as planned. If we do not receive the grant funding or sufficient grant funding, we are going to have to revisit how we're going to develop that trail. So don't want to get into that too much right now. Let's just keep our fingers crossed that the grant applications are approved and we're awarded some funding to help supplement what we can put towards it. So that's the update on Bollinger Park. Any questions on that one? No? Okay. All right, next, the Taneytown High School Park Playground Project. Pleased to report that playground specialists completed the project installation. There are just a couple of little things that need to be done. As discussed before, the rubberized surface is not going to be poured until the spring because it needs to be warmer for that to set and bond. Once they do that, then we can hold a dedication ceremony, and we hope to have the Taneytown High School alumni present at that. That'll be very nice. We're also having a sign manufactured, so that'll be installed as well. But technically, after this week, it should be up and running and usable. So that's exciting. Any questions on that? No? Okay. All right, the next item is update on 2021 events. I'm continuing to work on WineFest. The invitation was sent out to vendors. It was also printed or going to be printed in the next issue of the Taneytown Record. It was released out on Facebook. Getting some inquiries and a couple of registration forms, so that's good. I've, of course, already been in contact with wineries and breweries and distilleries. So hopefully we'll get those lined up as well. I've got a few of those, but need to really have more. Securing bands in the process. I've booked one and trying to get two more, and getting all of that lined up, and also keeping an eye on the costs as well. The next event is going to be the egg hunt. Well, depending on COVID, hopefully we're able to hold an egg hunt, and that would be proposed for Memorial Park. And I believe that date, it's set that for March 27th. That's a Saturday as well. So it's a Saturday before Easter. If the COVID situation is such that we can't hold that type of event, obviously that will fall off of the calendar. We added two new special events this year, and that's exciting. One is the Sisters Promise for Hope 5K. That's going to take place at Roberts Mill Park, and that's going to be on Sunday, August 1st. In discussion with the coordinators for that, and that sounds like it's going to be a really nice event. And also the Appalachian Home and Garden Show and Car Show. That's scheduled for the weekend of September 18th and 19th. Now, that is the weekend of the Maryland Wine Festival at the Carroll County Farm Museum, but the coordinator for the Appalachian Home and Garden and Car Show didn't mind. She's confident that she can bring in a lot of people to the event, and that's going to be at Memorial Park as well. And the Terrier Trials will be brought back. That will be the weekend of July 10th and 11th. And I'll be meeting with Eric Bender soon out in the park just to get the area mapped out and all of that. And those special event permit applications will be coming before mayor and council, hopefully in the coming next couple of months. Does anybody have any questions on the events? Nope. Okay. Oh, hang on a second. Gonna get Bill situated here.
You're on.
Okay, I only had a question about the dates on the car show. Because they're not on the schedule that I printed off this week.
Let's see. The schedule just added this week. Saturday, September 18th, Sunday, September 9th.
18.
Right. 18th and 19th of September.
Okay.
And those are, from what I understand from the coordinator, I don't know what you would call the specialty luxury cars. You know, the really fancy ones, the Lamborghinis and the all of the other ones. I can't remember the names that she told me now, but sounds like it's going to be fun. And the home and garden shows, they're always popular, so I'm looking forward to that.
That sounds awesome, Lorraine. And again, thanks for beefing up our schedules. So that's great. So I guess at this point we're going to go into new business. Lorena, you want to take that over?
Okay. The first item for new business is allowance of pets in city parks. Currently, only Roberts Mill Park allows dogs, or we only allow dogs in Roberts Mill Park at this time. We would like to allow them in all of the parks, at least legislatively. Realistically, people take their dogs to all the parks anyway. I mean, we've seen them in Memorial Park and other parks. So the intent is to put up dog waste stations in our parks, our larger parks especially. So in order to be consistent, we are going to be asking the mayor and council to pass a resolution to change that decision about allowing pets in the parks. And if that's approved, then we would order new signage for the parks with rules. Obviously, dogs would have to be on a leash, controlled by their owner or handler, would not be allowed on any of the athletic fields or the playgrounds. And of course, we've been working on trying to get a dog park situated at Roberts Mill. That does have some grant funding opportunities with it, so I'll be pursuing that to cover the majority of the cost. But until we get to that point, it would be nice to have the dog waste stations in the parks and allow the dogs to be out there. Anybody have any discussion or questions, comments on that? What are your thoughts about that?
Yeah, I would just say I agree. I mean, you look at it, I guess when it was written, the idea was to try to keep some of the waste and some of the traffic out of the parks. However, just realistically, it's not quite feasible to, enforce. So I think since we have people utilizing the parks in that fashion as it is, adding the dog waste stations is a great starting point. And then kind of changing the language or, passing that resolution to allow that. I think especially Memorial Park, I run through there at times, and I mean, almost every day there's people walking their dogs. They love that loop that goes around the entire park. So I definitely think it's a positive.
I do think that the key is to enforce it, because we've had a lot of issues with dog waste on athletic fields. So if we're going to do this, obviously it's not being enforced now. So if we're going to do it, I think it really needs to be enforced.
Yeah, and that's a discussion that we could have with Jim and possibly with the chief to see how that could be enforced.
Just real briefly, Beth, you might be able to answer this. Is that an issue that we currently have with maybe baseball fields, especially seeing that type of traffic coming through with people who do bring their dogs in the parks?
Absolutely. I know we've had several instances where there's been dog feces on the fields. And I think that there's signage up now that says no dogs allowed on the athletic fields, but it's not being enforced. I believe football had an issue with it too.
They did. In fact, the football field has a fence of integrity all the way around it with closable gates. And it's been a number of years, but people were actually going down there and putting their dogs in what was then a novel idea of a dog park and running around. It's just crazy. So yeah, it's going to be tough because the same people that aren't cleaning up the dogs after the dogs now probably will not clean up then. But I was sort of cold to the idea of having, other than Roberts Mill, the pond available for dogs to go to. Because back in the day, it was hard to even get that. And for those of us that have dogs and like to take their dogs with us, but that park is not a great dog park place for a dog park, or at least to take a dog because of the water. As cool as that is, if you have a lab, you got to get into a vehicle, so it's a mess. And then that field, that whole park area does have a habit of holding some water after rain. So, yeah, I agree with Emmanuel. There are a lot of dogs down at the park, and I think it's part of the park system. Taking your dog with you, it's exercise. So, or at least we're contributing to the exercise of the animal and its owner. So that's all on that, Lorena. I appreciate that very much.
Sure. Okay. And hopefully we'll get the grant funding opportunity is through Pet Safe, I believe, and there's no set deadline for that. It's a rolling grant opportunity. So once I get some other things situated with the Bollinger grant funding, then I'm going to really dig into the grant for the dog park so that we can see if we can make that happen. So with that being said, I guess we're moving on to budget considerations for fiscal year 2022. Our main non-capital budget expenses will be in the categories of events, maintenance and repairs, and materials and supplies. I'm going to be meeting with Randy and John with our Public Works Department tomorrow to get their input. They are in the parks every day, day in, day out. They see what needs to be done more so than I do. And they've also seen through the years what falls apart faster, I guess, for lack of a better phrase, what's going to probably be coming up that's going to need repair or attention. So very important to get their input. So I'll be getting that from them, and that way I can budget accordingly. Most of the TAA requests, as I said in that meeting, can hopefully either be paid for with grant funding or with in-kind in-house labor and materials to minimize the city's expenditure. So we'll see going forward with that. Not on the agenda, but I also do want to mention, I'm sorry, was there any discussion or questions or comments about budget considerations? Are we good on that? And I'll be forwarding to you once I've got the blanks filled in for what I'm going to be requesting. I'll forward that on to you so that y'all can take a look at that and review it, make any suggestions, or if you have any questions at that point, I can see what I can do to get information to you. All right, so moving on, again, not on the agenda, but I wanted to mention the decorating contest, the Christmas decorating contest ended. And first place went to 79 Keenan. Second place went to 503 Trevanion Terrace, and third place went to 38 Bison. And 79 Keenan and 503 Trevanion received $100 and $75 gift card respectively to Food Lion. That's what they requested. And 38 Bison requested their $50 gift card from No Anchovies. So that all went very well, and we had a lot of fun with that. I think next year we're going to possibly use judges rather than a vote-in poll, because I noticed, and somebody else brought this to my attention as well, a lot of call-outs on Facebook of, hey, here's my house, or here's my friend's house, vote for it. Did that person who's voting actually see the other, other entries? Or did they just click on the poll and just vote for their friend's house? So it might be better to have judges, maybe the mayor and council members, advisory board members. No, Daryl, advisory board members, and you all go out and take a look at all of the entries and come back with your top 3 votes, and then we can go with it for that. Also wanted to mention that the park impact fee ordinance and resolution passed. So we will now be able to collect a park impact fee of $1,000 for each new residential dwelling unit that is proposed to be built in the city, within the city limits. This is different than the $1,500 fee in lieu of open space fee. The exception is the remainder of Meads Crossing. The council agreed to basically honor the terms of the DARA. So those terms dictated that the developers would pay a fee of $1,000 per dwelling unit for the remainder of phase 2, I believe it is. So coincidentally, it's the same as the park impact fee, so they'll still be paying into that. For all new dwelling units that come in that can't provide open space, the allotted and required open space, they'll still need to pay that fee in lieu of open space of $1,500, and then the $1,000 park impact fee. So that could be a potential total of $2,500. So all told, every little bit helps, and this will help to go a long way in funding a lot of our capital improvements projects that are much needed in the parks. So does anyone have any questions about that? Okay, I think I'm finished. I just wanted to also have a quick note here that today is my 1-year anniversary working for the city. So it's been fun, and I wanted to, it continues to be fun. I'm very happy, and I'm looking forward to continuing making great things happen in the parks of Taneytown. And I wanted to thank you all for all of your support and your input, and I really appreciate all of that. So thank you. And that's it for me, Daryl.
All right, and thank you for the awesome job you've done for this past year. It's very exciting to see the parks used and looked at the way through your vision. And we're all very happy to be part of that. And anything you need, let us know. And keep up the great, awesome work. Council committee reports, anybody?
I don't have anything.
Okay, Lorena, again, I don't think we have a feed for the for this meeting either, correct? For the citizens to call into?
I don't believe so.
Yeah.
I don't see anything from Jan on that. Nothing's popped up yet. Okay. No, we do not.
Okay, next meeting date?
It's going to be February 10th.
Okay, if I can just throw in there that it's I know it's very difficult to get the next meeting is gonna be a lot easier. And Bill, I even think that we can make arrangements for the short term to if it's convenient for you to have a sign out a tablet. So you don't have to come down to City Hall in case it's bad weather or something like that. I think that we might be able to accommodate that. I'm just thinking out loud, Lorena. That would be something that you could check into if you wouldn't mind. And also, I asked that when we have these meetings, I'd like to keep them. We need to get 100% participation. Things happen, people get ill. Emmanuel has another child, and those are all good things. But we're going to make this. The goal is to try to get all board members in compliance, and I think that everybody knows where I'm going with that. But also, more importantly, if you can't make it to a meeting, can we sort of create a rule, and we'll follow Lorena's advice over the next day or two, that you let her know that hours before the meeting, so that she's not sitting around until 6:30. Dan's not sitting around, any other staff, and more importantly, we get the word out that the meeting has been canceled. And it's not a good thing that we have our meetings canceled, but that way we have an idea. Okay, does that work for everybody?
Yep, sounds good.
I'm sorry, Beth, it dropped off.
I said, yep, that sounds good.
Okay, unless there's anything that you all want to say individually, we're looking for an intention to adjourn.
So moved. I'll move to adjourn.
Do we have a second?
Yeah, I'll second that movement.
Okay, if we have nothing else, thank you all for hanging out during the meeting, and we'll see you next time. Thanks, Lorena.
Thank you.
Have a good night, everybody.